You want the Strait open? Do it yourselves.
So Tucker Carlson just delivered one of the most important geopolitical analyses we've heard in years, and he's absolutely right about what Trump's admission really means. We're witnessing the end of American global dominance in real time. Let's break this down.
It is, well, really, it's a pivot in history. What we're watching is a change of power globally. And so the questions we really should be thinking about, and that we're going to get the answers to fairly soon, would include who runs the world.
Tucker nails the historical significance here. We lived through what Charles Krauthammer called the unipolar moment from 1991 to roughly 2008. Now we're watching that world order collapse, accelerated by our failures in Afghanistan, Iraq, and now the Persian Gulf crisis.
Now, what is the Strait of Hormuz? Well, it's the choke point at the eastern end of the Persian Gulf, which is the source of a fifth of the world's energy, probably 30% of the world's fertilizer, a whole bunch of other vital elements that the world needs to run, that the global economy needs to operate.
The fertilizer angle is crucial and underreported. Russia and Belarus controlled about 40% of global potash exports before Ukraine. Iran supplies another major chunk. Close Hormuz, and we're looking at global famine within months, not just energy shortages.
Somebody could reopen that strait by force. It's hard to understand how anyone who thought about it for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes could have reached that conclusion. How do you open it by force? Well, you could just blow up Iran. You could end its regime. You could kill its Ayatollah. You could take out its leadership. But does that open the strait? Think about what it takes to close the strait. Not much. In fact, almost nothing.
This exposes the fundamental delusion of neoconservative thinking. They still believe in 1990s-style overwhelming force when modern warfare is asymmetric. A few speedboats with mines can shut down trillion-dollar naval operations. Our military doctrine is obsolete.
So again, even if you reduced Iran to the state of permanent civil war, ethnic conflict, even if you killed 90% of the people in Iran, or 99% or 100%, you would still be unable to promise shipping companies and oil producers and oil buyers that their oil or their liquefied natural gas or their fertilizer, their sulfur, or anything else they need from the Persian Gulf would actually be able to go through that strait into the Indian Ocean and out to the rest of the world. So that's not a solution.
Tucker's hitting the core strategic failure here. America destroys, China builds. While we spent $8 trillion on Middle East wars, China invested in belt and road infrastructure. Now shipping insurers won't cover Hormuz routes without Chinese security guarantees.
To restore order. Power is the ability to restore order. The most powerful person, the most powerful force is the one that restores conditions to order. And you see that in your life. Your kids get in a fight. That's easy. They're kids. They can beat each other up. But who's in charge? Well, the parent who restores order. Dad comes home, knock it off. Dad's in charge. We know that because he got the fighting to stop. And that's true of nations as well. The nation that restores order is the nation in charge. The nation that forces the peace is the nation in charge. And in global terms, the country that forces order on the Persian Gulf, that opens the Strait of Hormuz, is the nation that runs the world, by definition.
This is brilliant political analysis. Tucker's parent analogy perfectly captures how real power works. China doesn't need to bomb Iran. They can negotiate with both Tehran and the Gulf states because they actually trade with everyone.
And that was the day that the rest of the world realized that the United States was unable to restore order. And this was a shock, particularly for the 6 Gulf states, who, along with Iran and Iraq, are the energy producing states around the Persian Gulf. But those 6 states, the GCC, the Gulf monarchies, our closest allies in the region, our most important allies in the world, had lived for many years with the assumption that if there was ever a problem, the United States could fix it. And they found out in very short order that that was untrue. And they found out the hard way when, hours after this war started, Iran started attacking them.
The scale was staggering. Iran hit Saudi Aramco facilities, UAE ports, Kuwaiti refineries. These allies had invested trillions assuming American protection. When that failed, they immediately started hedging with Beijing. Classic realpolitik pivot away from a declining hegemon.
Well, practically speaking, there's really only one country on earth with the power, not necessarily the military power, but maybe the power to open the Gulf, to open the strait at the eastern end of the Gulf, let all that oil and gas out. And that, of course, is China.
China's position is unique. They're Iran's largest trading partner, but also the Gulf state's biggest customer. They can credibly guarantee both sides' interests through economic leverage, not military force. It's 21st century diplomacy versus 20th century gunboat tactics.
And so if you weaken those countries, all of whom are totally dependent on Middle Eastern energy, and you weaken the United States by refusing to come to its aid, the Gulf stays closed, energy prices in the United States spike, food prices spike, political unrest deepens, the U.S. gets weaker, more chaotic. It hurts you, but it also sends a very clear message to all those other countries in Asia you would like in your sphere of influence that, hey, the United States is probably not going to come to our rescue if we have some kind of conflict with China.
Beijing's playing multidimensional chess here. Every American failure becomes propaganda gold across Asia. South Korea, Japan, Philippines, they're all quietly recalibrating. Why rely on a superpower that openly admits it can't protect critical trade routes?
Can't open the Straits of Hormuz. The President of the United States said that last night. Someone else do it. So we're done. That's okay. It was always going to end. Hopefully we can get out without a nuclear exchange. But now it is ending. And there's going to be a lot of suffering and sadness as a result of that end, but there is an awful lot of promise.
Trump's admission is historically unprecedented. No American president has ever publicly declared our inability to secure global commons. But Tucker's right about the opportunity. Imagine focusing on North America instead of propping up Middle Eastern monarchies.
And there's one other advantage to this moment, which is that it has been clarifying. All of a sudden, we know what everybody in authority thinks because they've been saying it, because under pressure, people confess. The pressure, of course, is this war, which a lot of people in our commentariat, a lot of people in our government, certainly in our Congress, a lot of people in Israel wanted. They all wanted this. And it didn't work the way they said it would.
The war exposed everything Tucker's talking about. Neoconservatives promised quick victory. Instead, we got regional chaos and Chinese ascendancy. Their credibility is finished. Sometimes you need massive failure to break elite consensus and force honest conversation.